My name is Wemimo Abbey. I'm one of the co-founders and co-CEO at Esusu Financial. Every time I have the good fortune to talk about the work we do at Esusu, I like to go down memory lane a little bit and talk about where I come from because it informs the work we've done at Esusu. And the theme of today's conversation, as I reflect on it and the journey of being part of the financial health network, is being hot trying. I grew up in the slums of Lagos, Nigeria. I lost my father at the age of 2. I was raised by my mother, two very spirited sisters. And one thing my mother fundamentally believed in was the importance of education. She afforded my school fees to one of the finest high schools in Nigeria, and that's what led me to this magical place called America. I immigrated from 80-degree weather in Lagos to negative 22 degrees in Minnesota. It was a character building experience. Now when I tell my LA friends and New York friends, I like to deer hunt and ice fish, they look at me crazy. But during that transition, something important happened. My mother and I did not have a credit score. We walked into one of the biggest financial institutions in Minneapolis to borrow money, and we were turned away and had to go borrow money from a predatory lender at over 400% interest rate. My mother sold my dad's wedding ring. We borrowed money from church members, and that's how we got started in the United States. So really inspired by that experience, and my co-founder, Samir, we started Esusu on 3 core premises. No matter where you come from, color of your skin, and above all, your financial identity shouldn't determine where you end up in the wealthiest nation the world has ever seen, and dare I say anywhere in the world. And the way we make this happen is really simple. You know, when we came here, credit was a big issue. And there's this thought process that credit treats you like you're guilty until proven innocent. You have to get credit in the first place to get access to capital, and it didn't quite make sense to us. So my co-founder and I saw a unique problem and said, how many people in the United States do not have a credit score, and how many people are renters? As you all know, your financial health gurus here, there are over 45 million people in this country that do not have a credit score, have what we call a thin file. And there are over 120 million renters in the United States. They send, on an average, $1,100 to their landlords every month. If you do that math, that's close to $1.4 trillion in data. But when we started on this journey, less than 10% of that data was captured in their credit score. So we built a simple system. When people pay rent, we want to make sure it shows up on their credit score so people can establish their financial identity and can go on, hopefully, to get quality financial products. And one thing that's actually very, very serendipitous about this approach also is when I go back to 5 years ago, that was the first time I actually came to Emerge. We were a company founded by 2 guys with 2 funny names, Samir Guel, my co-founder. We were trying to figure it out. We came with a t-shirt. It was hot in Arizona, I'll never forget. But Emerge sort of gave us an opportunity during a very turbulent time in Esusu's journey. At that point, our company was still figuring it out. We were about to go out of business. But we met our first investor here after 326 investors said no to us. And on our way, 3 weeks before, we got kicked out of a Denny's because we couldn't afford an hotel room. So this instance here, that's the first time I got engaged with Emerge, and the seed was planted. Shortly after, Emerge decided to invest in Esusu during our Series A round of financing. And the impacts we've had have been incredibly profound. Our go-to-market at Esusu is really simple. We work with the large owners and operators of real estate. We capture their data, transform it, and make sure that data reflects on their credit score. Today, Esusu works with owners and operators with over 5 million units. We see over $110 billion in rent volume, and that company that was valued probably at $3 million at Emerge is now valued at $1 billion today. But there's something unique about this journey, and it's this essence of being caught trying.
One story I also want to draw attention to before my co-founder and I decided to take this leap of faith. We were working in corporate America, institutions that, folks, storied institutions for many people. But Samia and I decided to quit and take the leap of faith because we wanted to contribute our own humble quota to the change imminent, not only in society, but for folks like my mother, like folks like my aunt, or folks like my sister that still work 2 jobs today and get 2 paychecks sometimes, the incomes are not the same. And it's this essence of, regardless of what happens to us, it's this essence of waking up every day and finding ourselves, regardless of the rejections, regardless of the tribulations, we ought to be caught trying to make this world a more perfect place. And I'll close with something very simple. On the journey that we create at Esusu, it's this simple journey that we call navigation. How do we take people from having a financial identity to giving them stability and eventually wealth building? And something I am utterly proud of at Esusu is for folks we've established credit scores for, over 120,000 of them now, and folks we've moved from subprime to prime. We did a study and looked at their sort of credit insights. We've been able to unlock over $22 billion in new credit activities for them, 14 billion of which was mortgages. The second close one was auto loans, credit cards, and other financial products. These folks, millions of them, otherwise, who knows, could have been like my mother and I, getting access to predatory products out there, but it's this essence of folks that believe in them. We always talk about it in society. Think outside the box. But we don't let folks that are outside those boxes actually engage in building. And with that, I want to express my deepest gratitude to not only the Emerge team for believing in us and investing in us and other people that have come along. And now my mother is a believer. When I told my mother that I was quitting corporate America to start Esusu, my mother said, my son, I'm the 401k plan of the family. She's like, I thought we made it. I'm like, Mom, I want to do this thing called Esusu. She's like, who's going to pay my rent? And I called her up and I said, hey, Mom, Esusu just raised $130 million and it's valued at $1 billion. And you know what she said? She said, how's the wedding planning coming along? She couldn't really fathom that our son, from the slums of Lagos, Nigeria, that she sacrificed 60% of her salary for, that she woke up day in, day out, despite being a widow, to pour everything in her son, could reach this height. She was a renter up until last year.
At the beginning of this year, when she actually bought that one condo in Minneapolis, where she still resides. But before that, she does something that really upsets me. She calls the Esusu
help plan, and when no one is that useful, she said, you know what? I don't know what's wrong with this Esusu people, but there's something interesting about the Esusu people. And I get upset. I'm like, why can't you just call me? I'll help you, talk to our customer support team. But she can still not connect the fact that our son is part and parcel and one of the founders of this company. And the work each and every one of us ought to do is give low to medium income people, which you work tirelessly on day in, day out, a fighting chance. No one wants a handout. For the 45 million people in this country that don't have a credit score, the average debt in America is $92,000. If we do that math, we can unlock over $4.1 trillion in capital. That's not only good for the American economy, that's good for each and every one of us, because guess what? The rising tide lifts all boats. So everyone, if you feel the same passion that I do today, and if you feel the same energy that I do today, let's be caught trying to make this wonderful country we call home a more perfect place. Thank you so much.